I didn't want to get with a white woman because I was scared she might have me running down the street like Jonathan Majors.
There you go, see, come on, Katt.
Not because I didn't like white women. I think white women are as great as any other women. But I'm not gonna act like I'm not scared of them. I have a reason to be scared. You could be Kang the Conqueror, and they could take your rabbit ass down in 2 weekends.
Do you believe it was purely a coincidence that an increasing number of individuals were cautioning Shannon Sharpe regarding his involvement with those white women? Initially, it was Katt Williams who attempted to alert him, then came Monique, and now even Terrence Howard is stepping in to support him. Meanwhile, Shannon Sharpe's entire existence appears to be unraveling right before our very eyes. Was this merely the result of a series of unfortunate decisions, or was Shannon intentionally targeted by the very same systemic mechanism that has historically dismantled the lives and careers of numerous black men before him, individuals like Katt Williams and Monique?
It's different now. When you and I...
It's different, baby. I'm grateful I'm not 56 and trying.
You tried to say that. What you trying to say? Bro?
I'm looking right at you.
I know you looking at me.
I ain't backing down. You better take your old ass and get somebody to love you.
Damn, Mo.
Now I'm looking right at y'all. Let me tell y'all what Shannon needs.
Let me
tell you what my baby needs. He need him an old fat gal who can bake good cakes, make some smothered turkey wings, who gonna rub his feet at the nighttime, okay, and gonna have a sip of his cognac to make him feel better about himself when he come home at night. That's what Shannon needs. You don't need no 26-year-old girl. You don't need no 36-year-old girl.
I do.
This is your auntie talking to you. Take your old and get you an old out there that can love you old.
Let me explain something about the way in which the entertainment industry actually operates. Individuals in the spotlight have entire teams behind them, consisting of publicists, media strategists, agents, and managers, and the key point is that these professionals don't typically represent just one individual. They work with numerous high-profile personalities across various sectors. And here's the important part. They communicate with one another privately, they pick up on chatter, observe emerging patterns, and pass along warnings to their clients accordingly. So, when you witness someone like Monique or Katt Williams issuing a public warning to Shannon Sharpe, advising him to tread carefully when becoming entangled with these young white women, they weren't simply being old-fashioned or irrationally fearful, they were doing publicly what the industry often handles behind closed doors, issuing a signal that something problematic was potentially on the horizon. But when warnings go unheeded, when someone assumes they're beyond reproach, and when influential black men begin asserting themselves too boldly or stepping beyond unspoken boundaries, the industry doesn't merely reprimand them, it turns them into cautionary tales. And it always appears as if the downfall came out of nowhere, when in reality, it rarely ever does. Now we are looking at Shannon Sharpe, who could potentially be facing legal consequences if matters do not resolve in his favor, and he has also now gone on record to state that black men are being systematically singled out.
To my family, friends, supporters, and colleagues, I want to speak to you directly and from the heart. This is a shakedown. I'm going to be open, transparent, and defend myself because this isn't right. This is all being orchestrated by Tony Busby, who has targeted Jay-Z. Tony Busby targets black men, and I believe he's going to release a 30-second clip of a tape that tries to make me look guilty and play into every stereotype you could possibly imagine. That video should actually be 10 minutes or so. Hey Tony, instead of releasing your edit, put the whole video out. I don't have it, or I would myself. You know what happened, and you're trying to manipulate the media. The encounter in question took place during the day at her invitation, and now that appears to be a deliberate setup, coordinated by Gabby, also known as Carly on OnlyFans. Gabby and Tony Busby want $50 million. What they're getting is sued for defamation and trying to take me down. My career is all about real talk and honesty. I know my family and fans know exactly what this is about. And I'm going to be out there telling you whatever I need to say, just like I always do. I love all of you guys.
I genuinely hold affection for all of you. And that precise sentiment is exactly the sort of snare that Katt Williams has been vocally warning against for years. It's crucial to remember that Katt was never merely making noise for attention, he has personally endured this struggle. For decades, Katt has insisted that the Hollywood establishment is designed in a manner that sets black men up for inevitable failure. In fact, back in 2013, during an interview with Black Tree TV discussing his part in Scary Movie 5, Katt offered an in-depth, nuanced perspective on how influential industry elites actively work to emasculate black men as a means of diminishing their strength.
At the end of the day, Kevin doesn't have to worry about what people are going to say about him wearing a dress because of the long line of dress-wearing people before him. So now we had Big Mama's house 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah.
I've never seen Medea in a pantsuit. I think she wears.
As far back as 2012, Katt publicly stated that he had been placed under arrest 36 times over a span of 36 months, and he contended that the absence of any judicial proceedings proved law enforcement had launched a targeted witch hunt against him. Furthermore, law enforcement, in his words, repeatedly exploited his children as leverage. There was even an instance where the police forcibly removed his children directly from his professional office. Katt found this deeply offensive, suggesting that the act portrayed him as though he were among the most vile individuals imaginable. At the time, the authorities justified their actions by claiming Katt had placed his children in danger. While he did acknowledge possessing marijuana, he emphasized there were no illegal substances within his residence and that the firearms present were properly stored and intended solely for the protection of his children. It's important to remember that his frequent arrests escalated to the point where Katt eventually felt compelled to declare his retirement, primarily because the situation had become excessively perilous, not only for himself, but also for his children, whom he was desperate to shield. So, when Katt Williams issued a warning to Shannon Sharpe, it wasn't a message rooted in bitterness, it was one grounded in lived experience. And now he's no longer the sole voice speaking up. Other black men are rising to acknowledge and call out what they see as an orchestrated setup, including Terrence Howard, who has emerged as one of the most outspoken figures concerning how Hollywood systematically dismantles the reputations and careers of black men who refuse to conform. If you believed Katt's warning carried weight, then you ought to prepare yourself for what Terrence had to express, because he didn't simply endorse Katt Williams, he thoroughly dissected and explained the entire strategic playbook that Hollywood deploys to subdue and suppress black men. In a revealing discussion with Revolt, Terrence laid bare how the entertainment apparatus manipulates the public image of black men, portraying them as docile, emasculated, and unthreatening, while simultaneously allowing white men to retain their strength and commanding presence. Terrence articulated it succinctly: most men are reshaped to appear less masculine and devoid of personal power or dignity. White men, on the other hand, are permitted to embody strength. But for black men, that same strength is viewed as a menace. He said, "I don't want to alter my very genetic code just to accommodate someone else's narrative." According to Terrence, those who comply and conform to the unspoken rules manage to endure, but the ones who stand their ground, like Shannon Sharpe, are met with brutal consequences. And you know what? In addition to Terrence and Katt, numerous black men have raised these concerns for years, only to be ridiculed or ignored by the industry. Dave Chappelle addressed it directly: how black men are frequently coerced into wearing dresses, stripped of their masculine identities, and turned into jokes. Think of the long list: Martin Lawrence, Eddie Murphy, Jamie Foxx, Ving Rhames, Wesley Snipes, Tyler Perry, Kevin Hart, and even Chris Rock. Each took different paths, but they all encountered the same trap. If you don't compromise, they break you. If you do, you ascend, regardless of merit or ability. Even Kanye West came to the defense of Diddy, asserting his belief that black men in the entertainment world are systemically sabotaged. And now, the snare that surrounds Shannon Sharpe appears to be tightening, and whoever he may have offended is seemingly ensuring that he suffers. It's as if all his past secrets have suddenly resurfaced to haunt him, and the situation looks increasingly dire. Sources indicate that while Shannon was co-hosting Undisputed on FS1 between 2016 and 2023, there was an allegation that he physically grabbed a female production staffer by the neck. The incident was never litigated in court. It was discreetly settled through a private agreement reportedly worth several $100,000 with Fox Sports. However, Shannon's representatives refuted the accusation, characterizing the encounter as playful rather than violent, but matters only deteriorate from there. Michelle Evans, a woman who claims she shared an intimate relationship with Shannon for nearly 10 years, filed a lawsuit in 2023 asserting that he engaged in aggressive, non-consensual behavior following the deterioration of their relationship. She alleges that Shannon overpowered her, humiliated her, and made threats to ruin her reputation to keep her silent. Shannon again rejected the allegations and issued a statement declaring, "It should be no surprise that once someone becomes publicly prominent, a parade of individuals suddenly emerges, claiming some personal link to that person in hopes of profiting from it." He insisted that many such narratives are outdated, wildly exaggerated, or outright distortions of the truth. All of this controversy has only been magnified by a newer, more explosive lawsuit filed by Gabriella Zuniga, who accused Shannon of multiple instances of misconduct. As a result, damaging recordings and disturbing details are now surfacing. Shannon, for his part, has denied all wrongdoing, calling the claims extortion and labeling them a coordinated effort to extract money from him. He asserted that Gabriella selectively edited a secretly recorded video to support her story and has refused to provide the full footage to his legal team. Shannon's defense also highlighted explicit text messages, allegedly from Gabriella, which they argue show clear mutual interest in consensual adult role-playing scenarios involving intimate language and fantasy. He reportedly even offered her a $10 million settlement to prevent these private matters from going public, but she turned it down. Shannon now argues that, much like Michelle Evans, Gabriella is retaliating after he refused to become the father of her child. He maintains that he had always been honest with Gabriella about the nature of their relationship, which is why they maintained a consensual connection for 2 years. According to Shannon, once Gabriella realized he wouldn't fulfill her desires regarding parenthood, she resorted to what he calls blackmail. Though he was once willing to provide a substantial sum to shield his private affairs from the spotlight, something many celebrities opt for when threatened, that offer is no longer on the table. Shannon's most recent statement also confirms that although he is temporarily stepping back from ESPN, he fully intends to return for the 2025 football season. He emphasized that his departure was voluntary, he was not fired, but instead is choosing to take a break to focus on his family and to fight what he calls a baseless legal challenge. At this point, the question is no longer whether there is an effort to bring Shannon Sharpe down, it is,